First of all, Anna, where are you? You're not in the studio.
I'm at home.
That's convenient. So am I.
Today was one of those days I had to, actually, it was pretty amazing. I'll share it with everybody. Today we were voting on very many issues of the World Likud. I'm a delegate of the World Zionist Organization from Likud, and we had a very, very first vote today via Zoom, so it was very exciting and very important. Many great issues, so I kind of missed the mark and was not able to get to the studio and conducting our program from my house.
Nice. It's nice that we can do these things. Nothing stands in our way anymore.
No.
Everything has become possible, which is a blessing. Unfortunately, we need all these tools. That's the problem. We shouldn't really need them so much. So you want to talk about Rosh Hashanah. And you were right to say it's the most important day in the calendar. But we say that about every holiday, the week of that holiday. You know, the week before Pesach, Pesach is the most important holiday. The week before Sukkot, Simchat Torah, any holiday when it's coming up becomes very important. Which is the good attitude. The good attitude. It's like when an actor comes on a talk show to promote his newest movie. And they say to him, of all the movies you made, which one is your favorite? Of course he's going to say this one. The one coming up. So what exactly is Rosh Hashanah? Just to put it in very human terms, God created the world without being asked, because there was no one around to do the asking. So God had no choice but to create the world on his own initiative. But the purpose of creating the world is to have a relationship. A one-way relationship is not very satisfying. So after the first year of creation, God said, I started it when there was no one else around. But now that you're here and we're in a relationship, now you initiate. Now you make me king. So when I had to do it myself, I did. But now, if you don't show an interest, if you're not pleased to have me as your king, that takes all the pleasure out of it. So what happens on Rosh Hashanah, God gains a new pleasure that he never had before in being the king of the universe. What is that new pleasure? Another generation or another year of Jews blowing shofar, coronating him king, making Rosh Hashanah the most important day of the year, because on this day, God will renew, like any anniversary, God will renew the pleasure he had in creating the world. But renew means addition, new and improved. So this year, God will have more pleasure in being the king of the world than he ever had before. That's a cause for celebration. Because the more enjoyable, the more pleasurable it is for God to be the king of the universe, the more blessings come to the universe. So this year, this coming year, is going to be a year of the most unexpected miracles. The collapse of communism happened in the year which, the numbers in Hebrew are also letters, and letters are numbers. So the year in which communism collapsed was the year Tafshin Nun Aleph. Nun Aleph. Those are the numbers, right? 51. Nun is 50, Aleph is 1. But every number is also a letter, every letter is also a number. So Nun Aleph, the Rebbe said back then, at the beginning of that year, is going to be a year of visible miracles. Nisim Arena, or Arenu Neflois. The big miracle of that year, of course, was the collapse of communism. It wasn't a concealed miracle. Even the newspapers, the secular newspapers, kind of flirted with the idea that this was a miracle. Totally unexpected, unexplainable, mysterious. They just wouldn't use the word miracle, but they got close. Which means it was very revealed. There was no secret about it. So the letter Nun stands for the word Nifla. There's also the word Nes. Nes means a miracle. Nifla means a wonder. A miracle, a Nes, can happen and nobody notices it. In fact, the sun coming up in the morning is a miracle. But nobody notices it because we're used to it. So you can have nisim, you can have miracles happening and nobody notices. But the other word, niflaot, or pele, means astonishing. You can't be astonished and not know it. So if something astonishing happens, it means you've noticed. It grabbed your attention. The letters of this year, Pei Aleph, the numbers are 81. Pei is 80, Aleph is 1. So it's the year 5781. But the letters stand for the words Neflois Arena. You will see wonders. There's a prophecy, there's a promise that before the coming of Mashiach, God says, I will show you wonders similar to the ones that you saw coming out of Egypt 3,300 years ago. Now, this past year, 2020, was full of wonders that left us wondering. It was a different kind of wonder, because everybody was wondering, when is this going to end? What's going on? Why is this happening? So it was mysterious wonders. Everybody noticed. Everybody was keenly aware that something strange is going on. But that's not the way it was with Egypt. The miracles that God showed us coming out of Egypt was not mysterious at all. So this year, beginning on Rosh Hashanah, God is going to show us wonders. So what we need to do is to expect them. Don't be caught by surprise this time around. Last year was full of surprises. You didn't know what tomorrow would bring. There's still a few days left to this year. We don't know what these couple of days are going to bring. Like what's going on in California with the fires and the whole atmosphere is and in Oregon, an earthquake in New Jersey. This is like, what other surprises do you have in store for us?
I'm more surprised by the people who are creating ridiculous laws in California, but okay, we'll leave politics out of it.
What human beings do, we've stopped being surprised already. Anyway, the year was full of surprises, things we did not expect. But this time, this coming year, we know what to expect. Wonders. Wonders means things we never thought possible. The collapse of communism, some people planned it. Some people prayed for it. Some people wished for it. Some people predicted it. It wasn't impossible. Very unlikely, but not impossible. Ronald Reagan didn't think it was impossible. Yet, when it happened, it was a very pleasant surprise. But real wonders means things we never thought possible. Not just very good news. It will appear as if nature itself has changed. But it won't. There are just parts of nature that we have never discovered, never harnessed, never benefited from. So the wonders are going to be that we're going to see parts of nature, layers or segments of nature that are so beneficial, so helpful, so good for life on earth that it will be astonishing. That's what you expect this coming year. Will there be riots? Will there be problems? Will there be divorce? Will there be pain? What, that's new? If that happens, hopefully it won't, but if that happens, there's nothing unusual about that. What is going to be unusual are the blessings. So if I had to guess, the cure for things we never thought curable, this coming year, it's going to happen. I'm not talking about cancer. We've been looking for the cure for cancer for many, many years. The wonder is that we haven't found it yet, which is a little surprising. We'll find that. But that won't be the biggest wonder and the biggest miracle. The bigger miracle will be curing things we never thought curable, like regrowing an arm for somebody who lost an arm. That would be wonderful. It wouldn't be a miracle. It's got something to do with the genetic coding. So if you want to start the year off realistically, this is realism. Realistically, the coming year is going to bring such wonders that no one ever expected. And that is what we should expect. We're coming much closer to the conclusion of a huge drama. What Tevye calls the vast eternal plan. You know Tevye, the Milchiker.
Tevye the Molochnik.
Yeah. He asks God, would it spoil some vast eternal plan if I were a wealthy man? There is a vast eternal plan. It is 5,781 years old next week, this week. Have we made any progress in this vast eternal plan? Are we close to the conclusion of this vast eternal plan? Yes, we are. In fact, it should have concluded years ago. So, what is the conclusion of this vast eternal plan? 3 things. Number 1, life has to be much easier. Making a living, or what we call making a living, is taking up way too much time. It's almost like we keep making a living, but it takes up so much time, we have no time to live. So are you living? Well, I'm making a living. And when are you going to live? When you're too old to enjoy? So the world has to become much more giving, much more livable without so much effort. That would be a good conclusion to this vast eternal plan. Secondly, human beings have got to become human. It's time already, no? We've had our childhood, we've had our adolescence, we've gone through our teenage years, we've gone through our young adult stage. 5,781 years, I think it's time to grow up. And what would happen if the human race grew up? What would happen is we would stop being petty, stop being jealous, stop looking into other people's yards and into other people's pot to see what they have and be jealous of what they have and compare yourself to what they have. This is so childish. At the end and the conclusion of this vast eternal plan, we stop being babies. The 10th commandment is, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, his donkey, his wife, his life. That's maturity. This fascination with other people's lives, the lifestyle of the rich and famous, the constant gossip. What is this person, celebrity doing, and what is that celebrity doing? This one fell in love, this one fell out of love, this one. It is so childish. It is so embarrassing. There's a site on the web, This Day in History. Can you imagine? This day in history, the end of World War II, On that same day, this famous actress was born who acted in the silent movies. How do you put these two things together? Two significant things happened on this day in history. An actress was born. It's so embarrassing because it's so childish. It's so immature. So when the vast eternal plan concludes, it means human beings become mature. And when you become mature, you have only one interest, one desire, one plan, one purpose. How do I make the world better? What contribution can I make? I'm not a child anymore. I'm not somebody else's responsibility anymore. I take responsibility for my own existence. And what do you do if you're responsible? You make things better. So, we've been talking about world peace, everybody loving each other, no more war, no more hatred, no more violence, no more jealousy. If that seems miraculous, that would be sad. It would be miraculous if we stopped having wars? Or would it mean that we've outgrown our tantrum stage? A war is a tantrum. I think we're a little too old to have tantrums. So, the second element in the conclusion of the vast eternal plan is that human beings become adult human beings. Can you imagine if everybody woke up in the morning thinking, what can I do to help? Not what can I do to stay out of trouble. That's how teenagers think. What can I do to help? What a world this would be. It would be a really, really nice world, a peaceful world, a healthy world. But that's not enough. Because it's not our world, it's God's world. So to have a world that is really supportive of human life would be nice, and it would be healthy, and it would be mature, and it would be moral. But where's the godliness? So the third ingredient is that Jews will be the teachers, will share their knowledge of Torah, and the world will be welcoming not only to human life, but to God's presence. A world that pleases its creator. Doesn't that sound right?
Rabbi Friedman, I said amen about 100 times while you were speaking. And it's wonderful, but everything you're saying sounds like one big miracle. I mean, I'd love to truly believe that this is all realistic and will happen in this upcoming Jewish year that starts this Friday night.
I'm offering a money-back guarantee. I will return every penny. It's not enough to hope for it. We have to expect it. We have to expect it because we can't be content with anything less. So yes, it sounds like miracles. It sounds like massive blessings, heavenly events. No, it's not. It is absolutely essential. Without these three things, life is not life. This is not beyond the call of duty. This is what the world must be. Anything less is a disaster. In other words, life has been a disaster.
For sure. Going
to work 6 days a week so that you can have one normal day, that's lopsided. It's not humane. Spending your entire young life just preparing to be able to feed yourself when you're older, that's absurd. Why is that acceptable at all? Got to go to school, got to graduate college, got to get a job, got to pay your bills. Yeah, and then what? Well, then you won't die from hunger. Thank you very much. What a waste of the best years of your life. Of course, when we talk about old people, we say those are the best years. But that's correct. You should always look for the positive in everything. So life has not been what life is meant to be. So if all these beautiful things happen, it won't be a luxury. It's not. It's a necessity. Life has to be life. The world has to be a world worth having. People running around wondering why they're alive and why they were born and what they're doing in this world. This is not acceptable. That should never happen. Our very existence is mysterious to us. We don't know what we're doing here. I mean, if that's not a problem, if that's acceptable, we have lowered our standards terribly. And there's nothing a psychologist can tell you. There's nothing a philosopher can tell you. The answer to that question can only come from the Creator. Why am I here? Well, who are you asking? Who is supposed to know why you're here? Only the Creator. Otherwise, you walk into a room and there's this stuffed chair. And you say, why is that chair here? Who are you going to ask? Who knows? Who knows why the chair is here? If I were to ask, how did the chair get here? Yeah, pretty good idea. There must have been a truck that brought the chair because it wouldn't fit into a car. There must have been two guys who schlepped it up the stairs because it's a little heavy. There must have been somebody who ordered it. And there must have been somebody who paid for it. And all of these are pretty safe. But why is it here? I can't even begin to guess. Why? The only one who knows why is the one who bought it. So how it got here, we can figure out. Why it got here, there's only one way to find out. Ask the person who ordered it. Because there can be a million answers. And out of the million answers, 999,000 are wrong. There's only one right answer. So, how the world came into existence, what brought the world into existence, come up with a theory, figure it out, make up something. It's not that complicated. But why? Why does the world exist? Who are you going to ask? Who's supposed to know?
Rabbi Friedman, actually, this week we got one of the probably most serious comments on this particular topic in our email, and that is that religious people are religious because they're afraid of dying. That's why they come up. That's why they believe. That's why we believe.
There is some truth to that. Religion is a protective coating that helps you not despair. It's very good for people who are paranoid, except that sometimes it backfires. Paranoid people think God is going to kill them at any second. So their belief in God backfires. Oh, you're going to get it. There are such people, but that's religion. We're talking about Judaism. In Judaism, death is not a motivator. And the proof is, God said to Adam and Eve, the day you eat from that tree, you're going to die. So they immediately ate from it. Don't tell me death scares them. That's the first lesson in the entire Torah. Death is not scary. Death is not impressive. Death is not awesome. On the contrary, it's meaningless, it's useless, it's dull, boring. Life is awesome. That is the first message of all of the Torah. Life is much more interesting than death. Life is much more important than death. Life is much more valuable than death. Life is eternal. Death is temporary. That's fundamental principles of Jewish faith. Unfortunately, many Jews are hung up on death and dying. But I think that's because you live in Christian culture in Christian countries for 2,000 years. It kind of, you assimilate all sorts of ideas, and it starts to sound like that's Judaism, but it's not. The truth is that we should laugh at death and take life seriously. Instead, we mock life and we take death seriously. That's not Judaism.
So I just want to recap what we said today, just to make sure that I and the rest of the listeners understood everything correctly. So we should expect great things next year. We shouldn't worry about the elections. We shouldn't worry about civil war. We shouldn't worry about death. We shouldn't worry about riots. We shouldn't worry about all of these things because only great things are about to happen to the entire world. I mean, I don't know. I am on. My computer screen is radiating right now, to be honest. The most important thing right now is to take it all in and to believe that that is exactly what we're about to embark on. Please, Rabbi Friedman, teach us how to be this, to have such emunah, to have such trust, to take it all in, to believe in it, and walk away with exactly what you just given us.
You know the concept of every cloud has a silver lining? Mm-hmm. That's an understatement. The cloud is huge, the silver lining is tiny. That's not good enough. Every cloud conceals the sun. The sun is much bigger, much greater, much more meaningful than the cloud. And yet the cloud conceals the sun. So it's not a silver lining. It's the sun, the source of warmth and light and growth. Sometimes when great things are happening, very, very good, godly things are happening, there has to be a shade, a filter, a distraction. We shouldn't notice these great things that are happening too vividly, because it has to kind of settle in. We have to integrate it into our lives and not freak out about it. Like when the brothers wanted to tell Yaakov, their father, that Yosef was still alive, they couched it in a song. Yaakov heard them singing the song and said, "What are you singing? What are you saying? Yosef is still alive?" And they said yes. So they created like a buffer or a filter. They didn't just come out and say, "We found Yosef." That's what the cloud is for. The cloud is only to shield us from the intensity of the goodness. That's how it's always been. Like, for example, the Gemara says, the year that the first temple was burnt to the ground, that's when Mashiach was born. Now you can say, well, yeah, after the disaster, now we need the cure, so now Mashiach is born to cure the problem. It's the other way around. Mashiach had to be born. The birth of Mashiach was too dramatic, too intense, too exciting. It had to be cushioned. And so we were distracted by the destruction of the temple, and Mashiach got born quietly, unobtrusively. We have yet to discover the amazing goodness that happened this past year. Nobody noticed it because we were too busy watching the riots or watching the argument about what this virus is and what's good for you and what's not good for you and when can you take off the mask and when can't you take off the mask. You know, it was such a distraction. But what were we being distracted from? I don't know. I see little hints, I see little bits and pieces, but I'm sure there's much more that isn't getting any attention. Just for example, the other day I spoke to a businessman, really successful, big wheeler-dealer businessman. He is starting a company to teach companies how to do business because we've been doing it all wrong. You want to hear what he says? He says, it's been upside down. My primary obligation, responsibility, and concern is to make my shareholders, the people who own the stocks, to make them happy. That's how I succeed. If I make the shareholders happy, then the business will continue and we will make a lot of money. After that, I have to make sure that the upper echelons, the leaders of the company, are content and happy to stay at their job and do their best. Then I have to make sure that the second tier, the average workers are doing their best. So I have to give them perks, and I have to motivate them. I have to make sure that they're happy. The last of my concerns, meaning the least of my concerns, is the customer. That can no longer go on. Now, he says, it's got to turn itself around. My primary concern is the customer. After that, the average worker, the office workers. After that, the upper echelon. And then if I still have energy, I'll worry about the shareholders. So here's what he's envisioning. Every company employs the most intelligent, the most capable, the most resourceful, the most inventive, creative people. And all they do is make money? That's a crime against humanity. It's a crime against them. To take such talented, capable people and tell them all you should do for the rest of your life is make money. That's criminal. He envisions every company that hires, obviously, the most capable, talented people should spend a few hours a day making money, and the rest of the day, they should devote all their talent, all their creativity, all their resources on making the lives of their customers better, and then the lives of their workers, and then the lives of their officers, and maybe even the lives of the shareholders. This has been percolating for 6 months in people's minds. That is beautiful. Can you imagine a world where every talented, thoughtful, creative, resourceful person is thinking on how to make your life better?
Amazing.
This took 5,000 years to figure out?
Almost 6.
Okay, I won't kvetch about that. Thank God it finally happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we just really need to see it. Rabbi Friedman, I am so enlightened. I hope everybody who's been listening got this positive influx, this light that you just gave us. And please, can you, right before Rosh Hashanah, can you please end with our program for this year with a great blessing for all of us from a Cohen?
You know the very popular children's song, dip the apple in the honey, make a bracha loud and clear. V'shana tova u'mesuka, have a happy, sweet new year.
Rabbi Friedman, thank you so much. And thank you for all the time you have allocated to us throughout this year, for all the wisdom that you have given us, for all the light that you have given us. Thank you so much. May you and your family have a phenomenal, sweet, terrific new year. And thank you. And we look forward to your saying, I told you so next year.
Or your money back.
Thank you, Rabbi Friedman.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.